Alright, welcome back everyone, Zaf here. Yes, that's right, we have the brand new weapon all the way to A5. It is a free weapon, so let's compare it to our other existing weapons, see if it's good, see if it's actually viable for the early game, because we do need a water weapon, but in general, this weapon does have some very interesting passives that can make it very useful. So I'll show you, we'll cover it, we'll test out the damage, and we'll compare it to our existing weapons here. That way we know for a fact whether or not this weapon will be viable. I'm going to test out against other free weapons we have, like this right here. The true version of the Demon Knight Spear should be a good comparison because they were free weapons, and I'll get our SKADI all the way to A5. We can compare the new weapon to SKADI as well. That way we know whether or not it is a better water weapon, because SKADI right now just isn't useful. We do need a water weapon. We do have the Grimoire, but that's not really a DPS weapon. It's more of a buffer, especially at A1, giving us that 24% elemental weakness damage boost at A1. Very good. So let's jump into the testing. That way we know for a fact whether or not it's going to be a usable weapon. But still, A5 for free. The devs are doing wonders for us. But speaking of wonders, do not forget to support us on the wonderful supporter program. The link is down below. It's free. It's Marble's way to get creators to send out codes to their viewers. So make sure you go to the link, press this button here. That way it can send you all these codes like the ones you see here. We have gold, we have essence stones, we have SSR weapon designs, and lots of other goodies. So support us that way. I can send you all these benefits right here. It is 100% free, and we have giveaways on our Discord server if you're supporting. The link is also down below. We have 1, 2, 3 giveaways right now for hundreds of dollars each. So make sure you join, make sure you support, and lastly, a big shout out to Andres for making your first comment to our last video. Here is your shout out and enjoy that juicy Season 7 Discord role. Alright, so let's jump into the weapon. First off, let me advance it all the way to level 7, that being the skills, because most of my weapons have level 7 skills on them for testing. So there we go, level 7 here, and let's do level 7 here as well. But let's jump into the passives, because the passives are honestly very interesting. So if we go to details, you can see we get poison effects, which is fine, gives us some nice bonus damage, but nothing too crazy. But as we go down, we have paralyzed effects coming to play, which are very useful. Duration of 3 seconds is nice, and also an attack decrease on the target, which can help with survivability, especially if you are new, so this can come in clutch. But paralyzed does help out a ton, so not too bad. It lets you focus your damage, not missing it. But as you go down to the A1 bonus, you can see when the user uses Vanishing Shade, that being the main skill right here, Vanishing Shade, we gain a shield again, helping out survivability. So this is really looking to be like a beginner weapon that gives you useful stats and bonuses that will help you, run through the game, especially when it comes to Vulcan. Early on, we don't have too many weapons we can use right off the bat. It does take a while to get your weapons up to the point where, you can use them to clear that mode. So this, again, is very good for beginners. We also have this effect here. On top of the 30% shield, we have the Dungeon Killer effect. So as you can see, when entering the instance dungeon, activates the Dungeon Killer effect. And also, this bonus here is pretty good too. When the title, Wolf Assassin, Blessing Stone is equipped, it activates KASAKA'S Gaze. So this right here, this Blessing Stone at the legendary mark, gives us a 20% damage bonus to a monster. So if you have this for some reason, you can use the KASAKA'S Venom Fang, and also have a bonus of 20% to bosses. Very good. The next comparable Blessing Stone for that would be this right here, giving us a 20% boss damage increase, but it does increase the cooldown for dashes, so a pro and a con. Both this, if you use that, you do get a pro and no con, so not too bad. The weapon actually seems okay overall, but let's go back to the weapon. Going back to the A1 passives, you can see right here, Dungeon Killer increases the crit rate and crit damage of Vanishing Shade by 20%, and also, this is very interesting, always deals water elemental damage as if it's the target's weakness, regardless of the target's element. So this weapon can actually be used pretty much for any game mode, getting that bonus damage in, the 150% or 200% bonus on targets, assuming when you have the elemental damage bonus, but in this case, you get it regardless, so that is pretty darn good. We have KASAKA'S Gaze as well, which I mentioned earlier, so looking to be a pretty good effect overall. A2, we get a water damage increase of 10%. A3, when the user uses Vanishing Shade, it activates the Majestic KASAKA effect, and the KASAKA'S Deadly Poison effect is enhanced too, so we get a 20% attack bonus when we use our main skill, and we also get an increase to our poison damage, pretty good overall, and decreasing the target's HP recovery rate. So if you're facing against, let's say, a spider, and they do recover HP, for example, this does stop them in their tracks, so pretty good overall. I like what I see. And as we go down to A4 bonus, it's as usual, a 20% cooldown reduction on the skill. And then this right here, A5, the damage of Vanishing Shade increases by 150%. So let's jump in, let's test it. I want to go to Guild Boss Battle, but I do want to adjust our build really quick. That way our damage is consistent for the weapon. So let's change our artifact set out. I do want to take off Expert just because it'll mess us up if we crit. We don't want to crit and get the bonus applied because we can't crit all the time. So getting that 1.6% bonus will skew our results. So let's take this off right here and put on Curse. That way it is consistent. The bonus is always applied. So give me a second here. Let me swap out. And just now for our ring, I will be using dark damage because I won't be using a dark weapon to compare this weapon to. So we're good to go in that regard, just so you know. So there we go. We have Curse equipped. Perfect. Now, let me adjust our Blessing Stones to just because I don't want to use into it right now. I do want some stats into Perception. So let me swap this out for something else. I mean, technically speaking, I could use this, but let's not do that. Okay, with that done, let's swap out our weapons too. Let's take both these off and equip the Fang. That way, I can't see how much precision we need. So Perception stat, so our damage results are consistent. So equip, confirm. Let's go to our stats. We have 85%. So let me reset this. Reset, perfect. And let's put a bunch of stats into Precision, aka the Perception stat. Something like that should be fine. Should bring us up close to 100%, 92. Let's keep going. That way, our minimum and maximum damage results are pretty much the same, resulting in good testing, of course. Let's put 130 there. Let's check it again, and we're at perfect 99%. And let's put the rest into Strength. Beautiful. That way we can see just how good this weapon really is. So confirm. Now, I think that's everything I wanted to do. Let's just jump in and see what it's like now. So perfect. Let's go. Let's go to game modes. So let's jump into the Guild Boss, our glorified damage testing dummy. The weapon is honestly cool in terms of the animations. Look at that. How sick does that look? And as we jump in, let's use a skill. Watch this. Boom. We activate it and we warp around and deal so much damage. I'm talking tons of damage. It's honestly quite phenomenal. The devs implemented a weapon that looks sick and seems to deal okay damage. So the premise of the test will be we're going to run the Guild Boss for around a minute to minute 30, depending on what I feel is best, and then we'll compare our damage. That way we know for a fact whether or not this weapon is viable, or if we can disregard it, but still, it'll be a good free weapon regardless of it being the best or not, because a free A5 weapon at the start of the game, yeah, you're definitely going to want to use that. Now let's jump into our glorified damage testing dummy. We're going to Shadow Step first off, and then start piling on all the damage. One thing I do love about this weapon is we gain a shield. I don't like how we teleport. The teleportation in this game is very annoying because it oftentimes does miss the target. I'm sure you've noticed with Demon King's daggers. I'm sure you noticed with Shadow Step in general when it comes to Guild Boss. Anytime we teleport, we have a good chance of losing out on a bunch of damage, but one thing I do love, as I mentioned, is the shield. The shield makes this elite weapon can activate the skill to the fullest of its ability. When it comes to the weapons like a Shadow Scythe, although it is very strong, the activation is long, just like this weapon here, but with Shadow Scythe, we do not get a shield. We don't get super armor, meaning if the bosses even tickle us, we can't deal the full damage of the weapon skill. So already, this weapon is good for beginners. A shield, damage increases, low cooldowns, very, very good overall. I'm a big fan. So there we go, 2 minutes. We got 14.286 million. We'll see, comparing it to other weapons, if it's a good viable weapon or not. So let's jump in. I'll do this one a few more times so we get a good test result. That way we know for a fact whether or not it is strong. So I completed a few runs with Dagger, and these are the results. So around the 13 million mark on average. We got 14, we got 12.3, we got 14, 12.8, so we can say 13 million on average is how the weapon performed. Now, let's jump in and use the spear. I'm very curious how it compares to another 3-star weapon, so let me do that, and I'll show you. We've already done tests using the spear before, so we kind of know how it performs compared to other weapons, but let's try it out. If it's better than the Venom Fang, we know it's just an okay weapon, but if it's worse, then we know for a fact the Venom Fang is going to be a very viable weapon. So let me equip that and I'll show you the damage result. We're doing the same thing with the spear, waiting, extreme evasion, Shadow Step, and then spamming the skills over and over again. Very simple. This weapon does have a very, I guess, interesting skill where it is spammable, as you can see here. The damage is fine though, don't get me wrong. Already at 6 million damage. It's not looking good for our dagger. This took it much longer to get for the damage result. That might just be because we don't get enough bonuses to the skill. It was what, like 180% at the A5 mark, was it? So you see here, we're already past, yeah, we're gonna pass it pretty quickly. The damage result of the dagger, oh, it's too bad. So I guess from this alone, we can kind of see that the dagger, although it is a free weapon, it might not be the best weapon to use in the game right now, unfortunately, but still, it's going to be a fine weapon to use. I mean, it's free, A5, get the bonuses applied. The spear here does take much longer to get for free, so there we go. The damage test result, around 60 million, which is around 25, we can say, % better than the dagger itself. Unfortunate, but that does not mean it's not usable. But let me show you another weapon, for example, that we have. That's a meta-defining weapon. I almost registered my score. That would have been bad. Well, let's use our dagger now. I know. Hold on. My dagger skill is a level 10, but still, I just want to show you what a meta weapon is like at the A10 mark again, so we can take off like 30% damage, for example, from all the bonuses. But let's jump in. Let's see how much damage we should be dealing with a, top tier weapon. Probably one of the best weapons in the game right now. Let's do this. Shadow Step. And watch. Ready? So we use your skill, and boom. Already as much damage as our 2 weapons in the first 10 seconds. So that's why this weapon is just so darn good. That's why we have tier lists showing you which weapons are better, which weapons are worse. But still, do not get me wrong, the dagger is good. It's not going to be, pay to win weapon good, but it's going to be decent damage dealing good. But let's go all the way to the 2-minute mark just to really compare. But remember, the dagger does gain stacks, making it even better as we progress through the battle. But still, it's fine. How much damage will we deal here? Boom. One more attack, and yeah. So we're already like tripling, quadrupling the damage of our last weapons. One more skill to use, and then we can see the damage result at the end here. Here we go, final skill, and we have around the 40 million mark. So, not too bad. The spear was a bit better than the Fang, but our daggers are just too darn good right now. But I do want to try one other weapon, that being SKADI. So, is the brand new weapon the best in slot for our water category? I'm leaning towards yes, because the SKADI just kind of sucks. The S in SKADI does stand for sucks. So let me try this out. Let's put a SKADI on. Let me just make sure it is at A5. Let me just check here. Yeah, A5. And the weapon skill is at 3. Let me fix that up. Let me set it to 7. Give me one moment here. Let's level up all these skills for a weapon that I haven't used pretty much once. I haven't used this weapon at all in any game mode, in any instance, any dungeon, ever. This is one of the most useless weapons I've had in a very long time. I know content creators in the past suggested to summon for this weapon when invoking the release, so if you summon for it, oh, too bad, so sad, not a good weapon. But there we go, level 7. Let's jump in, guild boss, run it back one more time, and see what happens with our results. So SKADI as a weapon seems to be doing not much damage. So I use the first skill and its activation, and so far, it is not looking good. 3 million is pretty much the worst result we've had so far. Yeah, the SKADI weapon is probably dethroned right now as a potential water weapon to use. Actually, not bad. Hold on. We're getting some damage in. I could be wrong. You never know. SKADI, you gonna come in clutch or not? Remember, the dagger dealt around the 13 million mark on average. So as long as we reach that mark, we can basically infer that SKADI is officially dead, a useless weapon that we pretty much never need to use again. So yeah, this is bad. Worse off than our free-to-play weapons. Oh, SKADI, I feel so bad. Last skill activation here. Unless we deal like 20 million damage. Oh, even bad RNG for SKADI. I'll wait. Give it a second here for the boss to come down. It's super annoying. Again, we need damage testing them ASAP. Let's use a skill here, and we get around, like the 10 million mark. Yeah, not a good weapon. SKADI just falls off. Let me do one more run off screen just to really compare. So there we go. I did a perfect run, giving us a better damage result. So we got 11.3 million, still a far ways away from our dagger. Unfortunate. So SKADI is basically a useless weapon you definitely never ever want to summon for, because we just got the best in-slot water weapon in the game. To our surprise, a free A5 that you can just get by doing some silly missions, which are annoying, don't get me wrong, but still, a free A5, yeah, where else will you get that? So although the weapon doesn't deal too much damage itself, it is probably one of our worst A5 weapons, free ones that we can get, because the Night Spear did deal a decent bit more damage than the dagger itself. So just to show you, this is a free dagger, around 13 million. This is Demon King's daggers, around 40 million. This is a spear, around 60 million. And this is SKADI, the worst one, at around the 11 million mark. So we can say this weapon is usable. Not the best, not the worst, but for our water weapons, it is certainly viable. So I do want to say big thanks to Marble for giving us a decent weapon, better than one we can summon towards. SKADI, I'm so sorry, but you're just not going to be ever touched again it's unfortunate when we get a free weapon that's better than you. So everyone, do note, this is a solid weapon, especially when you start out. The instant damage increase we get from the elemental weakness guarantee damage of the skill is very good, and overall, the shield, the effects, makes this a beginner-friendly weapon that everyone should be using right away. A free 5 is not simple after thousands of summons on my free play account. I think I'm at 2,000 right now, around there. I've only gotten one weapon to A5, that being our plum, so this weapon will be used for sure when it comes to the correct game modes, so I can get a good damage result. But hope you enjoyed the video. Just want to show you how good the dagger is. It's a decent weapon, don't get me wrong, but still, because it is free, it's not going to be the best weapon, but a usable weapon, that's for sure. So if you enjoyed, make sure to drop your like, to subscribe to the channel. That way I do know you want more content like this, and also go to the link down below, join our Discord server, and support us for free. That way I can send you a bunch of juicy free codes, and darn it, no SSR. But on that note, this is your Code King Zaf, signing out.